Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awake to the universal truth of oneness. Spirituality and science are both telling us that we are literally all connected. We are literally all one. And when the world and mankind wakes up to this universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. So that's what the mission of this show is. Also, I'd like to mention last week, for any of the listeners out there that was trying to listen to the show last week, we did experience some technical difficulties with Blog Talk Radio Online Studio. And we had to postpone, we had to reschedule that show with Leonard Jacobson. Leonard Jacobson's show will be rescheduled. It has been rescheduled for next week, June 19th. So just wanted to let you know that that show had to be rescheduled, but we will be speaking with Leonard Jacobson live next week, June 19th. Today's show topic is increase joy and lessen anxiety with Dr. Joy Dr. Joy Liani Hallman. I met Dr. Joy 2 weeks ago at the Agape Revelation 2015 celebration. She was one of the amazing presenters during the conference that weekend, and she introduced the audience to Joy Dance, and I will let her tell you more about that, about Joy Dance. So welcome, Dr. Joy, to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Good afternoon. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Dr. Joy. Thank you so much for being with us. It was a pleasure meeting you a few weeks ago in L.A. You did an amazing job. I was just so, your presentation just lifted my spirits, and it was so amazing. I really enjoyed what you shared with the audience. Could you please share with our listeners all about what you do and who you are?
Okay, so, and I heard you struggling with my name. It is okay. It's Joy Liani Hallman. It's fine. It's urban.
Liani. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not English, so it's not easy. I understand. So, with regards to the workshop that I did, it's entitled Joy Dance, and what I do is I help others to increase self-confidence utilizing African dance and affirmations. And basically, as you saw, Caroline, we have people in the audience that maybe have never danced before, you know. So even though it was a really big audience, it's just a way that I get to talk to them and work with them to help them to create and become their best selves, like to just get out of the way, to not be worried about what people are thinking that you might be possibly thinking, or, you know, oh, maybe I'm going to miss a step or I'm going to do it wrong. And it's, as you know, I told the audience, you can't get it wrong. Like, if you do another step, then it's new choreography. It's fine, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I do. I don't even know when people say, what do you do? I normally change the subject, like, because there's so much to talk about.
Right.
But so that's one thing that I do. I'm a counselor, and I do different styles of counseling. I have a doctorate of education in counseling psychology, and as a therapist, I'm interning in order to become a licensed psychologist. I also do spiritual counseling, which is how I pay my bills as well. And I'm a choreographer and professional dancer.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us a little bit about your story of, I know you're very connected with Agape, and just tell us a little bit about your story and your spiritual growth journey.
Wow, that's deep. Okay, so, well, just so you know, I shared with you earlier today, my beloved grandmother, who just turned 90 in April, she passed away this morning. So, so one of the things that Thank you. But one of the things that I'm really grateful to Agape about is the types of people that come there that are just ready to just open their souls and just approach their personal relationship with God wholeheartedly, like not asking permission from anyone. You know, your relationship with your family and friends is personal. It's your relationship. So your relationship with God is that much more intimate. And what I would say is in '94, I'm from the same area you're from. You know, I'm from South Jersey, which is 1 mile from Philly. And for undergrad, I went to historically black college, Virginia State University, and my major was psychology. And I came home one summer, and I was in the bookstore in Philly in the gallery, and I just got kind of drawn to this section, Caroline, you know. So I was like, well, what's over here? Now, before I tell you about this section, what I'll tell you is when I was 10 years old, a Baptist preacher moved across the street from my house, and I grew up Episcopalian, which is Catholic but not Roman Catholic. Like
I know,
can
so
get
did
married,
I.
and you know all about it. Yeah, I love
so
them.
did I.
They're so
I was
much.
Episcopalian as well.
See, but so then a Baptist preacher moved across the street, and one of my grandmoms, she's 94, she's Baptist, and my other grandma that passed today, she's Methodist. So I kind of wanted to find out what was going on. So I explored with them, you know, the Baptist religion a bit, and then, you know, in subsequent years, I studied Pentecostal, Islam, like a lot of different religions, just looking for the truth. And, you know, when I was 21, I fasted for Ramadan, and that's when I just had like just this amazing, just almost like out of the body experience. And so that's when my deepening really solidified, if you will. So naturally, when I pray, like it's you know, multiple, I guess you would say, religions. I just look at it as spirituality, because God, I know who I'm talking to, and I know the results that I'm getting. So that's it.
Right. And I say God answers to whatever name you want to call him. I'll, you know, whatever name you want to call him. I personally do not subscribe to any one religion. You mentioned Episcopalian. My mother, actually, her father was a Baptist minister, but she, in her adult life, became converted to Episcopalian. She became Episcopalian. So my parents sent me to a Catholic school. So I had Catholic religion in school and went to an Episcopalian church on Sundays. So, and my father was Baptist, never went to the Episcopalian church. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying there. So when you were 21, you went into this bookstore. Tell me more about that experience.
So maybe I was 20. This is why I chose to fast that following year. But so in there was a metaphysical section. It's like, metaphysical, what is that? Everybody I know is Christian. If you're not, you're going to hell. Like, I just had, you know, all the things I was indoctrinated with that I absolutely believe, because everybody that I know and loved and trusted believed this. So it had to be the truth, even though something in my stomach was like, girl, God is so much bigger than this little experience that you keep making pretend that you're having, almost. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I read this book. And because I was a psychology major, I kind of didn't want to hear from anybody that wasn't in my field. So I read a book by a licensed psychologist from DAS, and Be Here Now. But there was two psychologists. They kind of wrote a book, but they were tripping off of acid. I'm good on that part, but I was just interested in their encounters, and they were talking about multiple things that I had never really sat with for myself, and they were talking about multidimensional experiences. And as much as I was like, yeah, right, there was a part of me that was curious. And then as I started just developing and becoming friends with different people in different cultures, like one of my closest girlfriends at home in Philly is Chinese, and she's Buddhist. And I was looking at her like, well, I don't think she's going to hell, because she, you know, like, and I just started looking around. I started realizing, I was like, okay, take all of that out of it, and let's just be realistic. Like, you know, me as a human being, I don't have a heaven or a hell to put someone in. So what is it, like, who am I, where am I, what is my purpose, basically? And so I just started waking up to the fact that no matter who you are, no matter what your religion is, whether you have one or not, again, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in, but my job, I'm anchoring more love, more joy, more kindness for myself. And so when I show up, I am that light. That is my responsibility. That's who I am. So something about me, I'm hoping, will lead you back to yourself to know deep down inside that you are enough. You are okay, which leads me to the topic of our show, increasing joy and lessening anxiety, especially in 2015. Can we talk? Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my research, beginning from my dissertation, my research is, I told you a little bit about it. It's the psychological impact of media on women's self-esteem. And basically what I'm finding is, and living in Hollywood, especially, you would think, even working inside the entertainment industry as far as choreography and dance is concerned, and or working in, the counseling industry, the issues are the same. And no matter who these beautiful women are, no matter what they've attained in life, and no matter, what beautiful positive attributes they have, the messages that I've been finding through my research is that they're getting is I am not enough. At the core, there is something wrong with me. And we as women, and especially black women, now we're at the point where we're apologizing. I'm not apologizing for my hair. This is what it looked like. Deal with it or not. That's it. But that had to bring me to a point because, and so with me, and especially as to not cast judgment, but with me, there was a specific agency that I really wanted to belong to as a dancer because it seemed like the dancers at this agency, wow, they worked. So no matter who I had been with prior, I seemed to be always getting my own job. I've been choreographing since I'm 15 and taking professional dance lessons since I'm 4 years old. So, that was my dream in life. Like, I'm gonna do this. And so when I met with the agent, it was kind of like, your hair, girl, like it was kind of like, yeah, you need a weave. And I was like, at that point, like, okay, well, this is what I need to do in order to be in this agency. So basically, what is it that I'm willing to accept for myself? What I'm saying to myself is, okay, I'm in agreement with you that I am not enough. So no matter who I am, what I am, whatever I'm showing up as is not enough. Whenever I come to this audition, what I'm telling myself is I need to conform to be whatever it is that you're seeking because I am not enough, right? But as a dancer, when you show up, the only instrument you have is yourself, is your body, and where it's coming from is your core. And if your self-esteem is affected, I don't care if you can do 20,000 turns in a row, you'll fall out of a single turn, right? So what happened with me was when I was once I got accepted into a doctoral program, I was on my couch, and it was just this voice, and I was like, kind of like, whose voice is that? I know I'm not going crazy. I've been praying and meditating a lot, but hold up. What's really happening? And the voice was my hair, and I was like, yo, wait, what's happening? And she said, it was an energetically, my hair was like, oh, so you about to talk to women about women's issues? And I was like, yeah, I can do it. And then, the feeling tone was like, oh, really? Well, what about your issue? And I was like, I don't have an issue. And then it was just like, okay, well, basically showing me that, okay, why are you apologizing for your hair? And I was like, I'm not apologizing. I'm wearing my hair like this because these auditions, and my hair was like, when's the last time you've been on an audition? I was like, started counting. And then I could take myself back through memory lane. Like every time I would take out the weave, I would apologize. When people would say, oh, my God, I love your hair. Oh, my God, no, I'm about to get it done. Don't, it was all that. And so a group of my girlfriends from Agape, again, had all, like one of them, Mecca, had dreadlocks, and she was transitioning. She had cut them off. And Dawn, like everybody was kind of, we kind of all showed up, and we were all in the same process. Like, really? Wow. And when I tell you, it's been such a journey as far as just women on the street coming up to me with their story, and it all goes back to self-esteem, and it's stemming from the messages that we're getting from media. So again, with my research, what it's proving is that, when you're misrepresented, on socially, through media, and or when you're not represented, you start picking up the message that something's wrong with me. And one of my when talking to Ricky Byers-Beckwith, one thing she said is that media is like God. It's everywhere. It's everywhere present. Like no matter where you are, there it is, whether it's a billboard or somebody's talking about something, it's everywhere. And so when this information is just pervasive and it's everywhere and you're picking it up, whether it's on your phone or you just want to mind your business and check your email and then boom, pops up these images, we don't recognize that whoever controls our perception is controlling our reality. And so when we're not tuning within and knowing what it is that you and I are speaking directly about, allowing ourselves to have a direct experience with the God inside of us, then we're not living. I can come to you for anything, but one of the things that I've learned in this journey, to answer the initial question, that set my soul free was two things. It said, the highest prayer on the planet Earth is that of a mother for her children. And I'm so extra. I bypassed her. I ran straight to my grandma. I was like, hey, Grandma. That's first. And the second thing I learned is that nobody's prayer is higher than yours. So I was giving my power away all this time. So I kind of learned that once. And so to answer your question, basically, I just feel like when I show up as that, it gives other people permission just to be their whole self.
Right. So true. So true. Now, when I met you, I met you as you, and I was just taken in by your vibrant vitality, your joy. I mean, your name is Joy, but your joy radiated. So you were named perfectly because your joy radiated from inside of you. That's what I saw. Your hair is beautiful. So
Thank you. Your hair is beautiful.
Thank you. So you're so right, and you're so right about what you say about media, and especially on these young women out here. They're trying to change. They're trying to not be who they are inside, to conform to what media says they should look like or they should be. What you're saying and sharing with our listeners is so true, and especially for the young female listeners listening, that you're perfect just the way you are, and just let that light inside of you shine. So it's so wonderful, and that was my first time in LA, my first time on the West Coast, and my experience of agape and the Revelation celebration, it was just so wonderful that I said when I left LA, I said I have to bring this back with me. I have to bring this to the Poconos, because I'm not moving to LA. I love the Poconos, but I need to bring that experience here. And I would love, that's actually my vision, I would love to have a center like Agape here in the Poconos. I'm founding a nonprofit foundation in my son's honor. Kyle was his name, but Kyle stands for not just his name. KYLE stands for Keep Your Light Expanding. And so it will be the Kyle Center, and it stands for Keep Your Light Expanding. So what I experienced at Agape Revelation was everybody, expressing themselves and being themselves and letting their light shine, and all uniquely.
You're right, but the thing about it is, it's funny, I've been to a lot of churches and a lot of denominations, and I'll still go, I'll go with friends or wherever, I'm fine. But when it showed up for me, it was kind of like, wow, I finally get to be my whole self. What I would basically say along the lines of what you're saying in your center and everything is once we give ourselves permission to just be our whole self, it knocks off a lot of the pressure. You recognize you are nowhere where God is not. Like, we have our own separate relationships with people. If I call my mom right now, I'm going to just start talking. I don't have to have the formalities and let me explain. I'm going to call her like, girl, and it doesn't matter that I've attained every academic honor degree on the planet. I am going to have prepositions at the end of my sentences. I will not have subject-verb agreement. I need her to understand exactly where I'm coming from, and I can just be myself in that way without having to feel judged. And so if I can have that relationship with my mom, why can't I have that relationship with God? Why can't I have that relationship with my angels? Like, why am I not taught that, like, as a little child when I knew that? What about me started making pretend that I didn't know that I didn't know that I was whole, perfect, and complete, that I didn't know that I was completely protected, that I didn't know that even in my darkest hour, I am never alone. That's the bottom line.
Yes, That is so true. That is so true. And the wonderful thing is to start teaching children that at a very young age. You are all that you need. You already have within you. God is always with you. You're always protected. And who you are, you don't need to change who you are for anybody. Just let your light shine from within. And to teach children that, because you and I, we're different. I'm probably old enough to be your mom, but we're in different generations, but we were raised the same way. We were raised to feel like we're not enough. And a lot of people are raised in that mindset that we're not enough. And like you said, when I went to Catholic school and what I was being taught in Catholic school, I'm like saying there's got to be more. There's more. There's something missing. I'm not getting the full picture, even at 4 and 5 years old. And I was taught. I was raised in the era where children are to be seen and not heard. My father would say that. Yes, my father would say that. Children are to be seen and not heard. That I was raised in the 60s. And so it's like, okay, I have all these questions that from religion class and from math that just are not jiving with me, but I can't even ask the questions, I just have to okay, I'm supposed to be seen and not heard. So it's a different day, like you said, 2015. Now we need to raise our children to let them know they are enough and who they are.
But this is what I'm finding, though, to back up everything you're saying. I don't think that it's not that the parents aren't doing it. Let me tell you this. I have two things to just quickly comment. First, what I'm most grateful for about the year I spent at Catholic school are those prayers. Those prayers are phenomenal. And the fact that somebody finally was bold enough to teach me about divine feminine energy, Mother Mary, and all the other beautiful saints, Okay, so that's first. But second of all, so listen to this, Caroline. The reason why I did this study was because there is a gentleman, his last name is Robert, and he's a filmmaker. And he created this movie. It's a documentary, and it's called America the Beautiful. I talk about it in my research. So in his movie, he did several things, but one of the main things he did was he went across the country and he talked to students in middle school. So my daughter is, she's approaching her sophomore year in college now, but she was in middle school at the time, or a freshman or whatever. So I talked to her. So he asked all these kids all the same question, do you think you're good looking or something like that? And they all, I don't care which city, which country, rural, suburbs, it doesn't matter. They all responded in the same way, in this negative way. So I'm thinking, you know what, my daughter, please, she's at Agape, Reverend Arlene. I brought her up since, in just in love, enjoying kindness, and love your beautiful self. And I tell her I love her every day, how beautiful she is, da-da-da. I'm going to ask her the same questions, but I'm not pressed because I know I won't get that response, except I asked her that question, and she responded the same exact way. My heart broke. I was like, where did you pick that up? Where did you get that? And that's what we're finding. So I do agree with you in us teaching our children in the ways in which they should go, and then they will never depart from it. I get that. But the experiences that they're having, like you and I, even though we're in two different generations, we weren't going to school and somebody was taking our picture and putting it on social media. Whatever bad hair day I had in 88, dated 88, it ain't online. The rest of the world can't see it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever faux pas decisions I was making with clothing or whatever I was doing, it's not for the whole entire world to see. So you and I, we have a different level of confidence, yes?
Yes.
In comparison to these kids that are walking around now and everybody has a camera in their pocket. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is the kids growing up today are growing up in a totally different world, and this bullying online and all of this stuff that we never had to deal with is so true. That but to, like you said, self-esteem for women, especially young women, and letting them know that they are beautiful the way they are, that they don't need to, so they get just more and more role models to show them that, more and more, mothers and grandmothers and aunts to show them that they are beautiful, and to have a center like Agape is beautiful
I
too.
do believe, but just in fairness to the moms and the aunts, we're doing that. We are doing our part. Like we are really doing that. But what I think there needs to be a subsequent conversation underneath of all that you're saying, which is about media. And what we're right now, 49% of women in the United States, and my research shows, are over the age of 40. We are representing, okay? But we're only reflected in 26% of the numbers statistically on television. And on TV, you see us cast in 4 main roles, like the bitch being one of them, just the 4 roles. We don't have to get into, you know what they are. But the thing about it is this, so we're not seeing ourselves represented. So because we're not, less women are going into science, into technology, into engineering, into math. We're concerned about purses and handbags and everything else. And don't get it twisted. Those things are lovely to have, but they aren't the end-all, be-all. Like, this isn't what you're ascribing to get a handbag. You know, every designer bag I have was a gift, and maybe 2 of them I purchased were vintage. It's like when you want something, it'll come to you, but I'm not going to not pursue education and not be my whole self and try to fit into one of these 4 little things is what I'm saying. Categories.
Right.
And so the young girls growing up today, they're seeing those 4 categories. It's kind of like, if I'm not in that, I have to get the surgery, I have to do something, I have to become something else in order to fit into one of these 4. You see what I'm saying? And so back to that another documentary, a man who's a producer, what he was basically saying is, you know what? He said, most of that I don't believe is intentional. He said, men, you know, I think we just talk about the stuff that we know about women. But women have to be more willing to make films to show us in different genres and just different ways of being. And a lot of the time, it's not that women aren't doing that, but those films aren't getting funded. We just need to become more aware, because this guerrilla marketing, it's in your mind, in your sleep.
Yes.
You know?
True. And I think it is. I think humankind is going through an evolution process, and the media is, I think, hasn't been affected yet, but I think it's coming. The day is coming where the media is going to actually start having to reflect the changes, the evolution that we are going through, because we are going through evolution, and it's speeding up. And like you said, the media right now is lagging behind. It hasn't caught up to the evolution yet, but it eventually will have to. And so people like you, with Joy Dance, Awake to Oneness Radio, the more centers like Agape, you know, we're all contributing to that shift. You know,
and you know what? I have to. And I'm sorry, I just have to say this for any listener that's listening, that's like, you know, or whatever these centers or places are. What we're talking about is spiritual communities. It's kind of like this. When you know something in theory, you can know something in theory, so what? You theorize, you have it in theory, you philosophizing. Reverend Michael says you can philosophize about brushing your teeth. Either you're doing it or you're not. And so when you have something in theory and you dare to apply it, then you have a direct experience. And once you have a direct experience with something, once you're a mother, you've given birth to something, once you have had a direct and you know that you know that you know with full-on confidence. Come with May, but you know that. And so basically the centers that you're talking about are people all over the world that are willing to wake up to that. Like, you know, faith without works is dead, basically. So I know that I have to take divinely inspired responsibility. Like, it is my responsibility. So even though, you know, I may have been taught, the devil or Satan, guess what? Whether that energy does or does not exist is not my business. What am I responsible for? What is my responsibility? You know, and Reverend Pastor Creflo Dollar, he says, it is needlessly immature to kind of blame God for something that you yourself created. Like, calm down. Like, take a deep breath and step back. You know, like, we're in this. What in this is my responsibility? And then doing each little thing each day, you know, taking a step each day to mold the thing. When people talk to me, I can learn from kindergartners. I'm quiet. I'm a sponge. I'm a listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, it's up to me not to not to, look for reasons to become offended, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's truth in so many different things, and even though there are a lot of there is a lot of negative energy. You can turn on the media, you can watch that, turn on the news. They program it. It's programming just for you. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. You know what I'm saying? Just for you, just to get into your psyche, to control.
Yes, this is your program.
Yeah. Do you ever feel depressed? Do you breathe oxygen? Is your blood red? Like, maybe you need these drugs. Really? So maybe I've never had any type of medical school education, but I need to listen to this 30-second commercial and now go to my physician who has graduated with honors and has done residency and been doing this for decades, and tell her that, okay, girl, you know what? I need this medicine because I saw it on television. I'm so confused about that. I'm so confused.
Yes.
So
and
it's
I love the long list of side effects. Okay, you have a headache, but take this, and now you'll have this and that, It's really
like, I'll keep the headache. I'm good.
I'll keep the headache. Yes.
And then again, back to the headache. But back to the headache. So when we talk about disease, when we talk about any dis-ease in the body, so Louise Hay, I love Louise Hay. Louise Hay publishes so many books, so many metaphysical self-help books. And in her journey, what she discovered is that dis-ease in the body temple, when we talk about headaches, she says the headaches come from invalidating ourselves. So I'm like, okay, so if I have a headache, again, that brings me back to myself. Who am I? Where am I? What is my purpose? What happened? Why am I incurring this right now? And then she has an affirmation for it. And the affirmation is, I love and approve of myself. I see myself and what I do with the eyes of love. I am safe. So when you look at that, when you think about most of the affirmations, and that's in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. So when you think about most affirmations, the bottom line to each and every one of them is, all is well in my world, I am safe. And if we could just all know that for ourselves, I am safe, I am protected, I am deeply loved, I'm supported, I'm safe, all is well. When you start from that, when you're coming from that, that's emanating from you. When you're in that frequency, when you're saying it, initially you may not believe it, but if you say it over a period of time, it comes to be the truth for who you are.
Yes, it starts to resonate with you. Yes, and that's so true. And it's so true what you were saying about on an individual level. There are so many, and I can tell from online, there are so many people that are waking up to the truth and are waking up to who they are. But now, once you wake up, you do have to take that next step is action, and whatever that, and it's going to be different for every one of us. We're all unique, and we all have unique gifts to bring to the table. And so that's going to resonate from within. So once you are awakened and are waking up, the next step is now to, like you said, each day, each moment, go out and kind of share that uniqueness and your gifts for the world, to the world, so we can all come together, and then there will, the evolution process will even speed up even quicker. The shift will happen even quicker. So it's like you said, it's not just knowing, okay, I can meditate in my house and I'm one with God and I know I'm good, but now, and that's all good and beautiful, and that is the first step. But the second step is now to go out and share it. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't know what my purpose is, but meditate on that. It will come to you. What are you passionate? You're passionate about dance, and you're using your dance to bring joy to others. To uplift others, to raise others' vibration with dance. So whatever you're passionate about, that's what you're here to do. Follow that, walk in that, and you'll get guidance from within. God will guide you from within. Just trust in that. So, and it's different for everyone. And I love how Reverend Michael said, our differences don't divide us, don't separate us. Our differences make us stronger. So it's so true what you said about it's the media is doing what the media does, but we can, on an individual basis, as we awaken, and there are many awakening every day, every moment, because I can tell from online, like with YouTube and Facebook and everything that's going online, I can see is a different vibe than what you get on mainstream media. Because me personally, I stopped watching news after 9/11.
Oh my God! I started watching the news after 9/11. I was on my way to the World Trade Center actually, and I could not understand. Absolutely, I'll tell you about that in a second. But I couldn't understand why I had moved to California a month later, and I could not understand why I was still having heart palpitations. I was getting my car fixed, and then all of a sudden, I was just it felt like I was having a heart attack, and then I like my higher self said to myself, like, yo, you are safe. So really, what's really the problem? And I turned around and I looked up and I saw the television in the mechanic shop, and I saw that they kept replaying the images, and I saw that every time you see that, you're having a physical effect. Every time, like there's not one time that you're seeing that that your biological being is not responding to that. So if you're responding to that physically, you have to first have it in thought form first, right? So what are you thinking? You're not safe. Everything's not okay. At any minute, it's all over. Like these are the thoughts that you're thinking. And then ever since that, I've been on a diet from the news. That's the only diet I'm gonna be on. But
okay. Okay. Yes, I did. Well, honestly, my spirit told me, and it was about 2 weeks after 9/11, and I was glued to the news. And that's all that was on television was news for 2 weeks. And my spirit told me, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on, literally. And I was obedient. I was like, okay. I turned it off. I never watched news since. Now, people will say, well, how do you get news comes to me? I'm on the computer all the time. If there's something that happens in the news that I need to know, it will come to me. I will know what I need to know, but I do not have to watch it. And I have not watched news since September 2001. And I have no intentions of ever turning it back on. But I do understand that, like I said, the media is doing what they do. Now there are so many hundreds and thousands of people really waking up to who they are. And it's time now that we take that second step and become active, spiritual activists and just following our passion. I think that's all we have to do to be spiritual activists is follow our passion, like you with your dance. I agree. Yes.
I agree, but I just think at the same time, kindness just plays a part. You were talking about joy earlier, and I read this book, Power versus Force by Dr. Hawkins, David Hawkins. It's amazing. But the way that he described joy, he was just like, basically the key to joy is unconditional kindness to all life, including one's own, which we refer to as compassion. And he said that without compassion, little of any significance is ever accomplished in human endeavor. And that is the truth. Like, so I can have whatever I believe that I have for myself. But if I am not willing to go out into the world and engage in mankind, so for instance, if I see someone who is appearing homeless, what is this? What is in it for me? Because the first time that I stopped judging, I was lost. I was on my way driving from New Jersey to Petersburg, Virginia, back to college. I got my first car. And anybody that knows about that Beltway, Maryland, D.C., oh, my God, you will go around in so many circles. And I was devastated. Like, I couldn't breathe. I wanted to cry. I was like, I passed this like 300 times. So I jump off, and I get to the gas station. People don't even know what I'm talking about. They ignore me, whatever. And then there's this man who would appear homeless, and he said to me, baby, let me tell you something. You better get out that left lane, get out that right lane. You got to get in that middle lane. He was like, the left lane going to take you this way. He was like, you get in that middle lane, baby. You ride it all the way down. And I was like, oh, my God, thank you. And that has helped me for the last 2 decades of my life. Like, I'm staying in this middle lane. I'm going all the way down. Stay in my lane. The bottom line is stay in my lane. And I'm going to get the results that I want. So who knows the sacrifice that man had to make to be at that space in human history to help me out, to keep me to keep helping myself today,
Right, right. And you know what? Always has been one of my favorite passages from the Bible is what you do unto the least, of mine. We might see a homeless person, but that's God. That person is God, and what you do and how you treat that homeless person, you're treating God. So what you do, to him. So what you do to the least of mine. That's the passage in the Bible. You do unto me. And that has always been my favorite passage because we're all God. We're all God's children. We're all connected to God. And how you treat another person is like you said, kindness, simple kindness, just a simple act of kindness daily. Oh, also, I meant to mention today is also Awakening Day. Are you familiar with Neil Donald Walsh?
I am.
He wrote Conversations with God. Yes, that's the Conversations with God series. He has started, it's called Evolution Revolution, and he has started a movement. It's called Evolution Revolution, and you go to evolutionrevolution.net is the website. But the movement is the 12th of every month is Awakening Day. And just to go out and do something to try to inspire another to awaken. Because I believe I always use the word inspire because I believe that's all we can do is inspire another to awaken to truth. I believe truth comes from within, but another person can inspire us and motivate us in that direction. So that today is the 12th of June, so today is Awakening Day for Evolution Revolution. And to find out more about the movement, just anybody that's interested, you can go to evolutionrevolution.net. So I meant to mention that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna write that down because today is the 12th. And so, just to give your listeners some tips because they wanted to know. Okay, you're saying all this, okay, but how can I do that for myself? Right. How can I become more joyful? How can I lessen anxiety? You don't know my kids and my husband and this situation, right? But the thing is, this is kind of like the outward appearance is just that. It's an appearance. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like my father is an iron worker, and when I found out from him that as tall as you see a building up in the air is as many feet below the earth the building is in order to support its weight, right? So kind of like when you plant seeds, a lot of us, like we get these beautiful seeds and, we want to see roses or we want to see whatever, and like I tell many of my clients, they plant the seeds and they make sure that the conditions for their development are right, the perfect sunlight and water and just enough of everything else. And when I asked my dad, how long does it take before, the seed blooms, he said either 55 or 45 days. But what we do is we go outside in 3 days and start digging it up to see, because we need the evidence of the thing, because we're so used to looking at the appearance of it not working. I need to see something. No, you need to think differently so that you can be different. And a habit, it takes at least 40 consecutive days to create a new habit. So if I am willing to commit, I don't have to tell myself 40 days because day 6 you're going to be over it. But if I tell myself 45 minutes, if I tell myself 4 days, if I tell myself whatever I need to tell myself until I can get up into the 40 days, then there's a definite way I'm going to see change. And if I choose, first and foremost, to be kind to myself. I wrote a book years ago, and I'm working on a revised copy of it right now. Your Official Invitation to the Joy of Life, Details Inside. And what I'm basically talking about in one of the chapters is about the negative ways in which we speak to ourselves. Like if a waiter came up to us and said to ourselves what we say to ourselves, like, no, you fat cow, you can't have a piece because you ate that yesterday. That's how we talk to ourselves. So first and foremost, if we're willing to be more kind to ourselves, then if we're willing also to take up a new hobby, or learn a new skill, it's kind of like, I've always been interested in painting, but I don't really have time. I should be doing this, that, and the other. Well, first of all, there are no shoulds. We've been conditioned to what we should do, but if you can listen to your small little tiny inner voice, the one that you always like, oh, later too, that voice, that he knows or she knows. And what that voice is saying to you is through your painting, what happens is this. You're taking up a new hobby or you're taking up a new skill, you are detaching. You're taking your focus off of what appears to not be working. And when you do that, you allow God, you allow the whole entire universe to show up and show out and work it out, because your focus is in the painting. And the painting allows your heart a powerful outlet in which to express. So we don't think that. We think I'm wasting my time or going to the gym. Not today. I need to figure out these bills. You're really not the one that's paying them bills. No way. It ain't never enough months at the end of that check. Don't ever really know where the money is coming from. Let's keep it real.
Yes,
okay?
Yes.
You got millionaires going to sleep. There was an interview with Will Smith, and he said that at night or whenever it is, he still worries about money. Wait, what? So again, if we we are willing to take up a new hobby or a new skill. Also, when you get your focus off of you and you go to help somebody just for the sake of helping somebody else, it is within your power to do that. So she or he who has the ability now has the responsibility. Go help somebody else out of the situation that you feel like you're in. You know, and in doing that also, in connecting with others, when we're just allowing ourselves to just connect with other people, it doesn't have to be for a specific purpose, but you just allow your whole self to show up. It's kind of like you're allowing your light to shine, and being willing to look at our situations. Okay, it could be a tragedy, but depending on the situation, if you flip the coin, it could be comedy. You know, if you're willing to just back up just a little bit, just possibly you know, to get like a bird's eye view of the situation, you might see the bigger picture. You might see a way out. And also, what I was teaching you guys at the workshop is that exercise creates a vacuum at the cellular level, and the whole entire universe abhors a vacuum. What does it do? It rushes in to fill the space with what? With your stuff. So you need to have clearly decided what it is that you want. And then it's okay to go for a walk. It's okay to exercise. It's okay to do this for yourself. And in that, you know, allowing ourselves to just have fun and be creative. And as you know, or may not know, since 2009, I've been a faculty member at Debbie Allen Dance Academy here in Los Angeles. Here, I've been interning, so I haven't really been teaching there a lot. But one thing that I've been grateful for is I work with the Early Bird Academy. And I'm like, they pay me for this? Like, I show up to those kids, and sometimes so much stuff had gone wrong that morning before I came there. And those kids, just that level of unconditional love, they reminded me, just have fun. They reminded me of that. So it's kind of like just being in that space, allowing yourself, your inner kid to shine. If it's Disneyland, if that's your thing, Neil Donald Walsh would say, if eating salami is your thing, like if whatever it is that brings you joy, you know, that and the fact that we need to learn that it's okay to relax. It's okay. You're not lazy. You can sit there. It's all right. This is going to get done eventually, you know, and that we need to understand also, 3 more tips. One thing is it's okay to balance our sleep. Like when our sleep is out of whack, our sleep, when our sleep isn't regulated, then the rest of our body, it can't really function at 100% because it's overcompensating, you know.
Yes. So true.
And so, you know, just having different things in moderation. Let me tell you something. Look, I love birthday cake. It ain't somebody's birthday, no, every day. So I can have cake and not be guilty when I show up to the birthday party. What you want? I want that. All that icing, the biggest slice. And I might be back for another piece. I'm not apologizing about that. You know, but it's in moderation. I'm not going to wake up and go to sleep to birthday cake, but, you know, just taking things in moderation. And lastly, listen, whatever happened is the only thing that could have happened. That's it. So when we accept what is, you know, my internship for this year is coming to a close, and my supervisor asked me yesterday, are there any regrets? Like, is there anything that you wish you had done differently? And what I said to him was, I don't do that. I have faith. Like, I'm not doing that. Who is doing that? I'm not now to take my energy and spin my wheels and go where? To do what? I don't want those results. And oftentimes, when we talk about lessening anxiety, when you ask somebody what it is that they want, what they'll tell you is what they don't want. Girl, let me tell you what I don't want. It's like, I want to be in a relationship. Okay, what do you want? Well, I don't want him to cheat on me, and I don't want. Okay, Back to what you were saying, Caroline. Whatever we focus on expands. And so, like Abraham Hicks would say, you know, anything you focus on for 17 pure seconds of pure intent begins to expand out. It begins to magnify. So whether I'm saying I don't want it, what's happening, it doesn't matter what I said. What matters is my feeling tone. It was strong. All it was that feeling and that emotion was turning a thing into a thing. Really? That's what you want. So every time you in a relationship, that's what you get because that's where your energy is. That's where your focus is. Right?
Exactly. Right.
And so what we don't know individually is that as individuals, we are so powerful, which is why everyone's taking their time through media and otherwise to market to us. Because if you can get these individuals to collectively agree upon a thing, what does the word say? It says where two or more are gathered in the name and the nature of the Christ consciousness, their God is in the midst. Time out. What does that mean? That means that when it's more than two of y'all and y'all showing up, and it don't matter what y'all talking about, but it's a prayer, no matter what you're doing, no matter what denomination it is, whether you believe or don't believe, just like you believe or not believe in gravity, when the two of you guys get together, you call a thing, there it is. It manifests. That's it.
Yes.
So we can collectively get you through media to believe that there is some illness, there is something that is just so significantly wrong with you that you need to be medicated. And or better than that, let's convince you to self-medicate. Okay, now they got everybody where, oh, my God, where I live, I can't walk nowhere without smelling marijuana. It's like, really? First of all, and it ain't even what marijuana smell like, because I know what it's really supposed to smell like. This is a whole bunch of chemicals on top of, I don't know what's happening. So now y'all convincing us to medicate ourselves so you can do what you want to do with the political agenda. You can do what you want to do with the school system. You can do what you want to do with all these other things, because you said you were born in the 60s. And one thing I know is that if most of the things that were going on today were going on in the 60s, you guys would not have been having it, period. It wouldn't fly. But us, we so distracted, we so medicated, we so tired, we so, oh, my God, something is wrong with me. We so caught up in our own world that, we're not thinking for ourselves. It's easier for the computer to think for me. It's easy for this to think for me, right? And what I'm doing is I'm giving up all of my rights.
They're giving up all their power. We're giving away our power. Exactly. You're so right. We're giving away our power, and like what you were saying about, making sure that, I just lost my thought. See, I'm at that age.
No, you're not. I got your back.
Yeah, but what you were saying was so true, though, is definitely we are giving away our power, and we need to now. With the media, we do need to, just kind of let that catch up by catching up to the shift, because we are going through a shift. But what you said was also right on. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's fine. But you know what? There is something so great about media at the same time. Like, so when I was an undergrad, we had to go deep down in the basement with them big books that you can't check out, so I'm in there 6-8 hours or whatever, and I had dance practice, so I'm in there until I have to go. But with Google, it's like it's all at my fingertips. And so having come from the generation of the former, what I'm just talking about, and now being here where I can just access information freely, and now I can find out more about my own personal journey and my own search. And again, one thing that I've learned, that I love where I am at this place in my life, because it doesn't get to make anybody wrong. It doesn't get to make people make the best decisions for themselves based on the information that they have in that moment. But it's up to me when I get new information to be willing to do a new thing. Period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like
actually, I kind of separate technology, like the internet. To me, I don't think of as media. Mainstream media, I think of it as what's pouring through that, what my uncle used to call the boob tube. The television. That's what I think. He'd be like, turn off that boob tube. So that's what I call mainstream media, is what's coming through that mainstream news and all that. Now, the internet, I've got my awakening through the internet, through YouTube.
I have too. But what I will tell you, though,
documentaries like What to Believe.
But still, you click on YouTube or you turn on the internet and you're ready to get your mail or whatever, and that's when just a surge of information just comes at you. in the news, what happened, this person's dead, this is,
Yes.
So I just, again, I just have to still talk about me and us allowing ourselves to be aware. It's okay to just notice it. Like, okay, I noticed it. Before, you may have just blindly taken it in, like me and the news from 9/11,
Exactly, yes. Because, like you said, when you see those images on the news, it has a physical effect on you. So if you see all of the, devastation that's happening daily, and they do it at 11 o'clock before you're going to bed. It's not very good to watch 11 o'clock news before you go to bed. I get whatever news that I need to come to me. It comes through the internet, and like you said, if I catch a headline that seems a little interesting, I might click on it and read more about it. But I can online on the internet, I could just pass by it. I don't have to let it really saturate my entire being with negative news. But the negative, and it did came back to me, what you were talking about when we are down and depressed and going through something. Like you said, reaching out that always helps me to help another person. If I'm feeling down, if I say, let me do something, let me call somebody, let me do something to help another person, that totally takes my mind off of what I'm going through. And it lifts my spirit, and it lifts my spirit and also gives me a different perspective. Now I can look at whatever it was I was going through from a different perspective. And like you said, a more of a bird's eye view. I can see it more clearly. I can see more clearly. But helping someone else when you're in the midst of a turmoil, but you can reach out and help someone else, that just takes you out of that space and lifts your vibration. So that's so true. That is so
I just
true,
noticed
Lydia.
that with everyday people, somebody that I know and love, it's in my family too. It's kind of like, well, I could do this, but what's in it for me? Like, what's the end result? Like, you saying this, but so what? It's kind of like, you can toss it up to, you can just chalk it up to, I don't want to be bothered, but you're saying you don't want to be bothered with yourself. And what you're saying is you're willing to live by default, because whoever has the most energy on the thing is going to get the thing. A friend of mine, Dr. Raven Rossetti, she and I, we were the cohort, and we graduated. We did our dissertation in 9 months, but the thing about the two of us, we were obsessed. We had lives, we had other things to do, we had families, but I slept with the information. I promise God, most of it I think I got by osmosis, because I would just be like, God, I don't know, what is blah, 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 and I would wake up, and because I allowed myself to go to sleep to balance, to balance out my thoughts, and because I was just being a meditative thought about it, I was interested in it. It's like when you're interested in something, you're creating something, and when you're interested in it, then it becomes interested in you. So as much as I started researching the research, I felt like the research was researching me too. It was like a relationship, and we were kind of in it together, But when we just want to do something and we don't get the result, so forget it. You go, I'm gonna work out. You say, okay, you get all excited, I'm gonna work out. Now you ain't been to the gym in 8 years. You gonna go work out for 3 hours? Really? So when you wake up in 2 days, you feel like you can barely walk. You're not really going to want to be bothered again. But so we allow ourselves to do things incrementally. You know what I'm saying? Just being kinder to ourselves, more gentle with ourselves. Hey, I haven't worked out in 8 years. That's okay. Today I'm going to wake up and walk to the mailbox and come back.
Exactly.
Maybe by this time next week I can go around
I'll walk
the block.
5 minutes today. Then I'll walk 10 minutes tomorrow. Then 15 minutes. 'cause I can't believe we're already coming down to the end of the hour. This has been beautiful. It's just like, I love this. It was wonderful just talking to you, sharing your beautiful knowledge and your beautiful joy, because, I met you in person, and I know you just radiate joy. And I know it's even coming through in this interview. You're just radiating joy, which is wonderful. But we are coming down to the hour. And the other thing I do want to mention is the oneness factor, though, because you were saying how sometimes people feel like they can't reach out to another person. When they understand that we are literally all one, they'll be able to understand that reaching out to another person is just reaching out to yourself. But thank you, Joy. I don't want us to get cut off. I always, when it comes down to the hour, I hate when Blog Talk Radio
I just want to say thank you kindly.
But thank you so much.
I'm changing my website, but right now it's Joy. It's what is it? Joyoflife.biz is in zebra. So it's still up, and I'm in the process of changing it. But check me out on there. If you have any comments, just write to me, and I'll respond.
Yes, and I have a link on my website to her website, so you can find it both ways. Okay, good night.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Joy.
Peace
good
and love.
night.
Okay.
Peace and love.